it doesn't hurt to ask a question. It doesn't hurt to ask, what's the worst someone can say? It's like we learned this as a kid. What's the worst someone can say is no. So I was constantly, asking to do things that led to amazing opportunities. I remember when I was a cub reporter, I was working in the Sierra Nevadas. I was working in a small bureau for McClatchy, and it was wintertime, and every day this helicopter came in and took off, in the morning, and then late afternoon would come back. And I asked the sheriff, I said, what is this helicopter that's going up, taking off every morning, going up to the mountains? And he said, that's the Pacific Gas and Electric Company helicopter. He says the power lines that come into California come over the Sierra Nevadas, and they have to go during winter and survey the snow depths at the top of the mountains to see, what the weight is on the lines and stuff like this. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I talked to the pilot once, and it's amazing because they land in places where there's no human beings, for hundreds of miles, because it's the middle of winter and stuff, and it's impossible to get in. And I said, that sounds so cool. I want to do that. And so I literally just got in my car when I heard the helicopter coming in and landed, and drove up, and I said, hey, I'm the reporter, here. I said, I'd love to go up with you guys. And they gave me the number of someone to call at the corporate office, and I called, and they were like, oh, that would be awesome, and literally a week later, I was sitting with the pilot having lunch on top of a Boy Scout camp's 2-story roof where the snow was up to the eaves of the roof, and watching a pack of wolves walk by us, as we ate lunch and on the top of a mountain. And I mean, because I asked. And then when I covered the automobile industry in Detroit, because it was there was such a big global press pool, people would always, I remember one time we went on a tour of a factory, and about Ford was just starting to build hybrid SUVs, and everyone filed the same exact story that said, Ford's launching its first hybrid SUV. It was the factory tour story. It was what the PR people told us as we walked around, and they wrote it off the press release they gave them. I wrote a story that the headline of my story was "Workers Struggle to Adapt to New Electric Vehicle Realities at Ford's Hybrid SUV Factory." It was all about how hard it was to install the batteries and stuff like this. And the next day, I got a call from one of my competitors, and he's like, "How the hell did you get that story?" He's like, who told you that? I said, the workers. He said, what workers? I said, the workers at the factory that we were at. He said, when did Ford let you talk to the workers? I said, they didn't. I said, when you guys were having lunch, I walked into the employee cafeteria and just started chatting with people and asking them how it was going installing these new batteries. And he said, but they didn't give us permission to do that. I said, I didn't ask. They didn't tell us not to.
Exactly. I love that. I didn't ask.
And, and I just think you have to cultivate that mindset in life of being willing to ask, being willing to show up, being willing, fill in the blank. Because if you just do that, and I know you've taught your kids this, they'll already be ahead of 9/10 of their peers.
100%. Say you ask 10 kids, why didn't you do this? Because the answer would have been no. Why didn't you ask? Because it wouldn't have happened. And as you said, well, you don't know until you ask. And then when they do say no, reattack, be persistent, come up with a better argument. And that's what my kids now, when they want something from me, they'll come to, I know when they don't come out. I know, I struggle to win arguments now, but they never come to me with an ask. They come to me with a clever question.
I love that.
As soon as I get a question, they're like,
yep.
Dad, where are we going to be on the 5th of July? I'm like, why? Why? 5 whys.
Yep.
But it's a great, and I know where we're going with it, but it's a game I play because it's great to see them thinking that way and following this very different way of getting a compromise, getting a solution that's often the one they want or engineered towards their liking rather than the big no that they often get if they ask their mother.
I love that.